So two things that we will be learning. First, that is C language, and another one is app development. So, and let me show you. First of all, what we will do, we will go to Google and we will write MIT App Inventor. I am showing you the from very beginning so that we can easily do these steps and you can go over there in the interface. But let me tell you, you will not have to do anything. I will be giving you the particular link in the Google Meet chat. So with one click only, you can easily go to the interface where we will be making our mobile application. So you will click on MIT App Inventor 2 and you will be taken to another page. You will be taken to this page. Since I have already logged in, it took me to that page, but you will be taken to this page first. And here I just all of you can see the create apps button. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will click on this create apps button and then you will be needing to do the signing part because I am already signed in. It's showing me this. So we will start with new project and here let's say give SRN. I'm just giving SRN and you will see a new page will come in front of me and you can see a mobile's prototype is there. A phone's prototype is there on the interface. Okay. So why the phone's prototype is showing over here? Because see, when we create any application, what happens? We create both its front end as well as its back end. Its front end comprises of the design, the application, the outer look of the application, and the back end consists of the code, which will make sure that whatever we want the application to do, it does that thing. So we will be doing both the things, front end and back end, and within this class, within this session, all of you will be eligible to make your own mobile application, and you can also run it in your phone also, on your Android phone also. Let me specify on your Android phone. Okay. So first of all, let's make an application today. And its job will be, we will be creating a button. And as soon as we click on that application, it will switch on, and there will be a button. If we click on that button, the background of our mobile will go blue, will become blue. If we long press the button, the background of our phone will become red. Okay, very simple. I will be instructing you throughout. While I am making it, please see how I am making it because you will be given enough time to make it yourself also. And I will be also sharing a screen recorded video of how it's coming on my phone. So it will be very easy for you to get and understand. So first of all, we will be going to layout. Can you see these things? Palette. Can you see palette, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please respond because in this part I will be just showing you some few things. You can say see viewer. Viewer is the place where we will be seeing our output. Component is the place where whatever thing you are using for your current project will be shown. In the palette, everything is there, but whatever thing you are using for your current project will be coming in the components. In the properties, it will show whatever component you are using, those things property will come and it will be shown over here. So now let me start. First of all, we'll go to layout. Now, any of you can tell me what layout is? Anyone, whatever you think you may tell. Because I know that you are familiar with the term layout. Layout is. I just want to know what you feel after hearing the word layout.
The layout is a basic interference of an application.
Yes, it's the interface of an application. So we can say that layout is the base on which the entire application is made. Can we say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will be taking, we will be selecting layout, and we will be taking this vertical arrangement, and we will drag it onto the mobile screen. That is appearing on the screen. So how did we do it? we just selected it and we dragged it like this. See, like this we drag. But everyone can see, you can see, all of you can see that layout is the place where the entire application will be standing on, but only this much screen space is very less for us to work, right? So what we will be doing, we will be increasing the space of work. How? We are selecting the vertical arrangement. Over here also it's getting selected, since we are selecting it over here. In the properties, vertical arrangements property is showing. What we will do, we will go to height, we will click on fill parent. Fill parent means height which is maximum available will be achieved. So we will click OK. So you can see that the maximum amount of height has been achieved on the phone screen. Similarly, we will be doing the same for the width part also. We will go to width, we will go to fill parent and we will click OK. So you can see that both height and width has been increased, and now we are with the most available height and width of the application, the mobile screen. So we can get the full screen now to do our work. Now we can give a background color to this. Let's say we are giving yellow or orange. We are giving this color to our application's background. This will come when the application will turn on. This will come as our background color. Now what we will be doing, we will go to user interface. Can you see user interface, everyone? Inside palette.
User interface. Yes, sir.
Inside user interface, you will find button, and you will take out button, and you will see that button will not come to the center and it will go and get fixed on the top left corner. I am telling you why this is happening. See, button is also a part of the application that we are building, and we are building the application on top of the vertical arrangement. That is the layout. So if we select vertical arrangement again, you will see the alignment over here is align horizontal to left, align vertical to top. So top left is the alignment for anything, any tab or any button you take, it will be aligned in the top left corner. So we will change it.
So, but in my computer it is not showing about alignment.
Okay, I will ask you to share your screen. Then I will be talking. I will be solving all your problems. But till I am making the application. Please stop doing anything else. See how it's done. I'll be asking you to present your screen, and you will be doing after. Okay. Okay. So now we will be doing another thing. So we have taken a button, and now we will be editing the button so that it looks like applications button which needs to be clicked or something else. So first of all, we will select button and we will go to properties. Change the text which is written over the button. We will write click to change BG color. That means click to change the background color. After writing this, we can do one more thing. We can make the letters bold. We can change the size of the letters. Similarly, we can also change the background color of the button, or not only the button. We can make it, let's say, which color? Let's give it red, and let's change the text color also. So we have given the button color as red, and we can change the shape of the button also. All we can do in the properties. So I'm giving some the rounded shape to the button, and this will be the which we will click on to change our background color of the application. So you can see click to change BG color has been given. This button has been formed. A temporary background color has been given, that is this yellow orange type thing. And you can see screen 1 is still showing. When you are making some application, would you like the user to see the backend objects like screen 1 text for button 1. We will be removing all these things so that whatever we design, only that thing should come in front of the user. So we will change this screen 1 name. We will select screen 1 and we will go to text title. We will change the title over here. You can give it a new name. Color changer. We can give this name color changer. Color changer 1. We are giving this name. So as soon as we change the text, you can see color changer 1.0 came over here. We can go to theme of the screen 1 and we can select device default, and it can also come like this. And you can see there are 3 dots which we can use to write an about section for our application. What it does, we can write the about section like app to change BG color. Okay, so we are writing app to change BG color. So if someone clicks on this blue dots in this 3 dots in the mobile phone, they will see that it will be written that this is the app which will be used to change the BG color. Now we will be moving on to the blocks part, where we will be using blocks to write our code. So button 1 is this one. This one is the button 1, see, which we will tap to change BG color. So we will select on button 1. So we will drag this one. When button 1 is clicked, what will happen? The vertical arrangement, that means the background's color will change. So set vertical arrangement background color. We will go to colors and let's say to blue. So what we are doing, we are just writing when button 1 is clicked, only once clicked, the background color of the application, that is the vertical arrangement's color, will change from yellow to blue. Okay. Similarly, if we long click this button 1, what will happen? Let's say set vertical arrangement, because it's the layout on which the application is standing. Background color, let's change the color to, let's say, green. Okay, so with a single click, the background will turn into blue. With long click, the background will turn into green. Now there is a small task for you guys. In order to share our own prepared application from computer to our phone, there is an application which needs to be downloaded. I am giving that application's link to your to Google Meet chat, so it will be easier for you to download that, because without that application we can't actually see our app working in our own phone. Okay, its name is MIT2 Companion. I am writing the name in the Google Meet chat, so you can easily find it in the Google Play Store. This is the name. Please see the name, MIT AI2 Companion. Have you seen the name? I have given it on the chat. Okay, so this is the name. We need this application from Google Play Store, and with the help of this application, what we will be doing, we will, after completing the entire making procedure, we will go to connect and we will click on AI Companion, and after clicking on this particular QR code, after scanning this particular QR code, we can easily see our own prepared application on our phone. See, I have just scanned the project in my phone, that's why it was loading, and I am doing screen recording. So after when you will scan this QR code, you will see, all of you will see this application on your own phones. So quickly tell me after installing the application, so that I can easily you can easily see this application in your own phone. So have any one of you installed it on your phone? Hello.
Children, please reply. Sir is asking you something.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sir, am I audible to you? Children, why you are not replying? Just reply to sir what he is asking.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Ma'am, can I send
Yes, sir.
the recorded video of the application, how it's working on the phone, in any Gmail account or anything? Then please mention it in the chat, so it will be easier for you to get.
Yes, sir. For that, we have to ask, sir. HODs are here, very much here, sir. We have Shashikant, sir. Are you listening? Hello.
Sir, if you want to share something with the class, please go to the classroom, Google Classroom, and there's an option of create. You can attach the material over there, sir.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
it will be very nice. After the session, also I can attach it, and
Yeah, you
it
can
will be
attach. Yeah,
easily available to the students. Okay,
right.
it's okay. So like this, we can easily create our own applications, and I will be giving the proper snapshots of how we created the mobile application, and also I will be giving screenshots of this code, so it will be easier for all of you to get the code and make your own applications from this. Now I can see some students are also over there. Kartika is there, Yashika is there. If you want to share your screen, please tell me in chat, or you can unmute yourself also. Then I'll be instructing you throughout, and you can make your own application just by sharing your own. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, so the another thing that I would like to show to you, and let me give the link of this application in Google Meet chat, so it is easily available to all the students. So we will be writing hash. Okay, wait once. Wait once, actually. Hash include, we'll have to write everything in small. stdio.h. Okay. So the first line of the code will be, we are going to print your school name on the computer screen. So the first line of code will be hash include stdio.h. Now you will be asking me, what is this? See, this is called a library function. Library function. Now, every time you will heard the term library, you will always think of books, right? You will always think of books, that library means books. In programming, we consider library as a storage space in order to store many kinds of informations and data. And in reality also, library is actually a space, place where many data and information are stored in form of books and copies and manuscripts. So here, this is the library function, and we need to mention the library function every time when we start writing a code. Now, I would like to show you a small thing in Word, show you what the library function is and from which part to which part it's the library function, and then there is a thing. So from hash to the closing bracket, it's the entire library function from hash include to the closing angular bracket. The entire thing is the library function. But the stdio.h part is called the header file. Okay, this is called the header file, and you can also see .h is written over there, which actually symbolizes that this file is nothing but a header file, because header files have an extension of .h. Now you will ask me what is extension. So let me be very clear. When you click any kind of photo in your mobile phone or through camera, you will see when you will try to transfer that to your computer, you will see that it will have some name like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or photo 1, photo 2, anything, and then there will be .img or jpg, something like this. When it's .img, you can easily understand the nature of the file you are storing, because img means .image, it's an image file, and img symbolizes that okay, this file is nothing but it's the image file. So in the extension, we always find out what type of file we are storing or what type of file it actually is. So here also .h stands for header file, and the library function contains the information of every part of the code. If we are using a plus sign in a code, if we are using a minus sign in a code, whatever, unequal to, a bracket or some statement or some command, whatever we use in the programming that we are writing, everything has been declared inside this library function. So without mentioning the library function, if we write a code, it will not get executed. It will not run, because any part of the code will not know their actual job. Plus sign will not know that its actual function is to add two things. Similarly, subtraction sign or equal to or comma or semicolon, no one will know their actual job. What is their actual job in this code? So we need to write library function every time we start writing a programming. Okay. Now let's move back to the coding part. So the first line I have already written, that hash include stdio.h, and why we mention it in the code I have already told. Now the next thing that I will be telling you is what we write next. After this line, we write int main, and we put brackets like this. So why we are writing int main? Int main is a command which is required to be written, because under this int main we will be writing our actual code. The code has already started when we have mentioned the library function and all, but the actual code which will be executed to show the result and all, which will consist of logic and other things, the commands, actual commands, all those things will be mentioned under this int main section, int main command. That's why its name is int main. So the main code will be written under this. So in order to write something under any kind of command, what we do, after writing the command, we give second bracket like this and one more second bracket like this. And whatever now we will be writing inside this int main, and code, the actual code will start and end inside this int main. We will write nothing outside int main section. Okay. So the first two lines have been written and the brackets have been given. Now you can understand that now what we will be writing, now we will be printing your school name on the screen. So in order to print something in C language, we have printf statement. Okay, printf means print file. Let's say So we will be writing print f like this, and we will be putting a bracket, and inside this bracket whatever we write inside printf statements bracket within inverted commas, it will be projected exactly on our computer screen. So if we put inverted comma like this, and if I write SRN International like this, and if I put a semicolon outside, like I have written it on the screen, in the code, it will generate or it will be projected on the screen similarly. So after this, I will just put an enter, and I will write return 0. Now let me explain these two lines. So printf statement is nothing but a command with the help of which anything that we write inside it within the inverted commas, it will be presented on the screen exactly similarly. Okay. Now, what is the return line? Return 0 line actually shows us the result which is coming. Printf will generate the result that we are asking for, that is SRN International on our screen. But with the help of return 0 command, we will be getting it on screen. We will be able to see it on screen. It will be available to us. So after writing the code, the line of codes, I guess all of you have seen that I am putting some semicolons at the ending. At the ending, I am putting some semicolons. So let me tell you why I am putting those. Semicolon actually denotes that a code has ended over there. That particular line has ended over there. It is shown by the semicolon. So if I write semicolon, that means that line is ending over there and there is no continuation of that particular. So till now we have written the code. This is the actual code which is required to print your school name or whatever you want to write within the inverted inverted commas, those two inverted commas. It will be presented similarly on your computer screen. So after writing the code, we will go to run, and you can see that your school name has come on the screen. So what did we do? We had just written the code and we had just clicked on the run button, and the output is showing that SRN International, whatever what we have just mentioned in our code. So you will get surprised that after writing the code, why we are clicking on run and what is happening over there. So after writing the code, three things are required to see your output on screen. The first thing is purification, then translation, then execution. So I'll be explaining every part of it. As soon as you write a code and you click on the run button, what happens? First thing happens is the purification. What is purification? The computer compiler, the computer's compiler, the one which we are using right now, will check whether there is any error in our code or not. Like if we don't give an inverted comma, if we miss a semicolon, if we miss a bracket, everything is checked by this run button. So first checking is done. If there is any mistake, we'll have to solve that mistake in order to run or make our code working. So after running, first purification occurs when the computer sees that there is no error in a person's code. It will easily take the result out and it will show that to us. So since there were no error, it was actually showing what we wanted to project on the screen. So let's say if I delete this semicolon and if I run the code now, see an error will come. See, it's showing that in function main, that is inside int main, a semicolon was expected. You can see it. One semicolon was expected at the end. It's already telling that one semicolon is missing. So here you can see that purification has started. So it's saying that it's searching for any mistake or anything, and this kind of errors are called compilation error. Okay, compilation error is the name which through which we call them, because these errors generate when we try to compile a code. Okay, now let's start with the other thing. Like that means let's give the semicolon over here and let's click on run. So since there is no more error over here, run button has generate the dialog that we have written inside the printer statement, that is your school name, and you can see that yes, your school name is visible now since there is no such error in programming. Okay. Okay. So now the next thing that I will be showing you how to add two numbers. In C language, we can also add two numbers. And first of all, we will be deleting the previous code that we had worked on. And right now, we will be learning how to add two numbers in C language. So like every time, we will be giving hash include stdio.h. And int main also the brackets, because under int main we will be writing on main code. Here, first thing that we need are some containers. See what happens. We would require some numbers, right, in order to add. So the user should enter the numbers. Let's say if we get the option to enter numbers, enter two numbers, and then it shows the answer, it will be really nice. So first of all, we will have to declare some variables. So like this, we will declare int. I'm telling you why I have written int a comma b comma sum. Then we are putting a semicolon, because after each line we need to put semicolon. I have already told you. So int is a data type. What is a data type? Data type is a particular container which stores data of same type. If we put some numbers inside a and b, it will be integers. So 8, 9, 7, 6, anything, any number that we will be putting inside a and b to add among themselves, all will be integers. That's why we need a data type which can easily store integers. So we are taking int over here. So we will write int a, b and sum. Inside a we will take our first number, inside b we will take our second number, and inside sum we will see the result. So first of all, we will have to go to printf. We will have to go to the next line and we will write printf, and within the inverted commas we will write, let's say, enter first number. So however we are writing inside printf, it should come exactly similarly on the. So like this we are writing enter first number, then I am giving a colon, and then the answer, the number which we will be entering, it will be coming. And after the bracket we will be putting a semicolon, like the rule is. Okay. Now I will be telling you about a new command that is called scanf. Let me write scanf. Okay, scanf. What does the scanf do? When the computer asks us to enter two numbers of our own choice which we can add, scanf actually scans those data and send it to the computer, so that whatever data we put inside, it actually goes and gets calculated. So here what we need to do, we will have to write scanf, and inside the bracket what we will do, we will put inverted comma and left right %d. I am telling you why we are writing %d. Then we will be giving a comma and we will be writing and a, and we will put a semicolon. So let me explain the line first. Why I am putting semicolon you already know. Then inside scanf what will happen, there will be %d within the inverted comma, and there will then will be a and a. And a is nothing but the number you are entering for alphabet A. It's actually the and a. So similarly we will be also writing the same code for second number as well. When I will finish, you will easily understand. Okay, so this was happening behind the coding. Okay, so the value of first number we will be setting it in A, value of second number will be setting it in B. That's why we have taken A and B. Now sum is what? Sum is the addition of A and B. So after taking variables from, after taking the values of first number and second number from the user, what we need to do, we need to calculate, we will need to add them. So we will write sum equal to A plus B, and we will put a semicolon. Since we have declared another container of sum, so whatever sum will come, it will be stored inside this sum. And what will be the answer? Answer will be A plus B. Whatever value we will be entering for A and whatever value we will be entering for B, both will be added and the sum will show. Now after giving the logics line, we will write, let's say, print f sum of A and B. You can write like this. What will happen? After sum of A and B, we will write %p. That means whatever value will be coming, it will be coming over here. That is sum of A and B, then inverted, then so colon, and then %d. So in the place of %d, the answer will be replaced, and %d will be replaced with the answer of A and B. Then here we will put sum, because sum is the actual container inside which the addition of A and B is now. So after this we will put return 0. And since return 0 is there, we can easily see our output on the screen. So this is the entire code that we need to add two numbers. So now we will click on run. A short recap why we are running the code, because we are checking whether there is any wrong or anything not given, anything like that or not. If there is any problem, it will stop and we will change the program and then it will start. So now click on run. The code is getting compiled, and now you can see that it's showing first number. So any of you would be okay, Yashika or Ashi, anyone? Suggest me two numbers, any number.
Sir, 7 and 8.
7 and 8, okay, 7 and 8 will be good. So we are entering 7 as you said in place of first number. I am adding 7. Okay. Okay, 7 has been entered. Wait, actually, wait once. Let me check once. Actually, the site is hanging a bit today. So we have entered 7. Is coming A and B equal to 50. You can see that we have taken your numbers 7 and 8. Actually, I have put 2 enters over there. That's why 8 didn't come just beside the second number. Otherwise, everything was okay. And here, what is happening? We are giving 2 numbers, any number that you are asking, and the sum will be coming like this. Now, I'll be showing you again with any other number. Let's say 5 is one number, 2 is another number. I am clicking on enter, and you can see A and B is 7. Now we can do some short changes in this code also to give some more details to our output. Like we can change sum of A with sum of %B with another sum of %B. We can write like this: the sum of %B plus %D is equal to %D. We can write like this. So what will happen? First %D is for first number, second %D is for second number, third %D was always for result. So we will write in the same order: A comma B comma A comma B comma sum. So first %D is for A, second %D for B, third %D for sum, and it's totally in order. So now when we will click on run, what will happen? It will show us enter first number. Let's say we are putting number like 8787. As soon as we click enter second number will come. Let's say we are writing 541. Now if we press enter, see what will happen. So now it will show the numbers that you have entered for first number and second number. In place of first number and second number, what value you have entered, it will be showing over here, and you can easily see that whatever value we used for them, it's coming over here along with the correct answer of sum. Understood, everyone?